Deshaun Collins couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong. He lay in his small bed, staring at the ceiling of his tiny bedroom. The paint was peeling in the corner, just like it always was. Outside, he could hear the usual sounds of Maple Street at night. Cars driving by. Someone's music playing far away. A dog barking 3 houses down. But then he heard something else. Something that didn't belong. A crackling sound, like someone crumpling paper. But louder, much louder. Deshaun sat up in bed. His heart started beating faster. Through his window, he saw an orange glow dancing on the brick wall across the street. The glow was getting brighter, bigger, angrier. "No!" he whispered. He jumped out of bed and ran to the window. His hands shook as he pressed them against the glass. What he saw made his stomach drop like a stone into deep water. Miss Geraldine's house was on fire. Thick, dark smoke poured from her windows like evil clouds. Orange and yellow flames licked at her front door, hungry and wild. The fire was eating her house, swallowing it bite by bite. "Mama!" Deshaun screamed. "Mama! Fire!" He didn't wait for an answer. He grabbed his hoodie and ran down the stairs so fast he almost fell. His mother, still in her nightgown, appeared in the hallway, her eyes wide with fear. "What's happening?" she asked. "Miss Geraldine's house is burning. Call 911. Deshaun shouted as he rushed past her. "Deshaun, wait! Don't you dare!" But he was already out the door. The night air hit his face, but he barely felt it. All he could see was the fire. All he could think about was Miss Geraldine. Sweet, kind Miss Geraldine who always gave him cookies when he mowed her lawn. Miss Geraldine who told him stories about the old days. Miss Geraldine who lived alone. Miss Geraldine who was still inside. Other neighbors were coming out now. Mrs. Chun from next door stood on her porch with her hand over her mouth. Mr. Jackson was already on his phone, probably calling the fire department too. Someone was shouting, "Everyone get back!" But Deshaun ran forward. "Boy, are you crazy?" Mr. Jackson yelled, "You can't go in there." Deshaun's feet carried him across the street like they had a mind of their own. The heat from the fire hit him like a wall. It was so hot it hurt to breathe. The smoke stung his eyes and made them water. He stopped at the front steps. The door was covered in flames. There was no way through there. His mind raced. The side window, the one that led to the living room. Miss Geraldine always left it unlocked because the latch was broken. Deshaun ran around the side of the house. The smoke was thicker here, like a monster's breath. He pulled his hoodie over his nose and mouth. His hands found the window. He pushed. It didn't move. He pushed harder. Finally, it slid open with a screech. Black smoke poured out like water from a burst pipe. Deshaun coughed and coughed, but he didn't stop. He climbed through the window. Inside, the world had turned into a nightmare. Everything was dark and orange and hot. The smoke was so thick, he couldn't see more than a few feet in front of him. The crackling sound was everywhere now, loud as thunder. Somewhere deeper in the house, it was breaking and crashing. Miss Geraldine. Deshaun screamed. His voice sounded small and scared. "Miss Geraldine, where are you?" He dropped to his knees. He remembered learning in school that smoke rises, so the air is better down low. He crawled forward on his hands and knees. The carpet was hot under his palms. His eyes burned. His lungs felt like they were full of sand. Help! A voice! Weak and scared, but a voice. "Miss Geraldine, keep talking. I'm coming. I'm upstairs. I can't get down." Upstairs. The stairs were in the hallway. Deshaun crawled faster, feeling his way through the smoke. His hand touched the wall. He followed it. There, the staircase. But the stairs were on fire. Not all of them, just the bottom 3 steps. The flames danced and jumped, blocking the way up. Deshaun stared at them. Every part of his brain screamed at him to run, to get out, to save himself. But upstairs, Miss Geraldine was trapped. Deshaun took a deep breath and immediately regretted it as smoke filled his lungs. He coughed so hard he thought he might throw up, but he stood up. He took 3 steps back. Then he ran. He jumped over burning steps. His foot almost slipped when he landed, but he grabbed the railing and pulled himself up. He kept climbing. The smoke was even worse up here. He couldn't see anything, couldn't breathe. His eyes streamed with tears. Miss Geraldine. Here, in my bedroom. Deshawn felt along the wall until he found a doorway. He stumbled into the room. Through the smoke, he could see the shape of a bed, and on the floor beside it, a small figure curled up. Miss Geraldine. She was coughing, her thin body shaking. When she saw Deshawn, her eyes went wide. Child, what are you doing? You have to get out. Not without you, Deshawn said. His voice was rough in the smoke. Can you stand? I don't know. My legs. Deshawn didn't wait for more. He bent down and put his arm around her. Miss Geraldine was small and light, but Deshawn's arms were shaking. Everything was shaking. The whole house was shaking. He pulled her up. She leaned against him, and together they stumbled toward the door. But when they reached the hallway, Deshawn's heart sank. The stairs. The fire on the stairs had spread. Now the whole staircase was burning, the flames reaching up like hands trying to grab them. We can't go down that way, Deshawn said. Think. The window, Miss Geraldine whispered. In my bedroom, there's a window over the porch roof. They turned around and went back. Deshawn's legs felt like rubber. His lungs screamed for air, but he kept moving. The window was there, just like Miss Geraldine said. Deshawn pushed it open. Cool air rushed in, beautiful, sweet, cool air. Below them was the porch roof, slanted and covered in old shingles. I'll go first, Deshawn said. Then I'll help you down. He climbed out onto the roof. It was steep and slippery. Behind him, he could hear crashing sounds inside the house. They didn't have much time. Come on, Miss Geraldine. Give me your hand. She was so scared she could barely move, but she reached out. Deshawn grabbed her hand and pulled. She climbed through the window, shaking like a leaf in the wind. Together, they crawled down the roof. Deshawn's foot slipped once, and for a terrible second, he thought they would both fall. But he grabbed the gutter and held on. At the edge of the porch roof, neighbors had gathered below. Jump. We'll catch you, Mr. Jackson yelled. Miss Geraldine went first. She closed her eyes and let go. Strong arms caught her below. Then it was Deshawn's turn. But just as he was about to jump, he heard a terrible sound behind him. A loud crash as part of the roof inside the house collapsed. The porch roof shook. Deshawn lost his balance. He fell. For a moment, he was flying through the air. Then hands grabbed him. Mr. Jackson's hands, his mama's hands, hands belonging to neighbors whose names he didn't even know. They laid him on the grass. Deshawn coughed and coughed. His whole body hurt. The world was spinning. Far away, he heard sirens. Fire trucks were coming. Is she okay? He managed to ask. Is Miss Geraldine okay? She's alive, baby, his mama said, crying and holding his face. You saved her. You saved her life. But Deshawn didn't hear the rest. The world went fuzzy around the edges. The orange glow of the fire faded. Everything turned dark and quiet. The last thing he thought before everything went black was, I hope she's really okay. I hope I wasn't too late. Deshawn woke up to the sound of birds singing. For a moment, he didn't remember anything. He was in his bed, in his room, and everything seemed normal. Then he tried to breathe deeply and his chest hurt. He coughed, and his throat felt like sandpaper. Then it all came rushing back. The fire, the smoke, Miss Geraldine. He sat up fast, too fast. His head spun like a merry-go-round. Easy, baby, easy. His mama was there, sitting in the chair beside his bed. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying, but she was smiling. You've been sleeping for almost 12 hours. Miss Geraldine? Deshawn's voice came out rough and scratchy. Is she? She's alive. She's at the hospital. But she's alive. Because of you. His mama reached out and touched his face gently. The paramedics checked you last night. They said you breathed in a lot of smoke, but you're going to be fine. You just need to rest. Deshawn lay back down. Relief washed over him like cool water. She was alive. He hadn't been too late. What you did was brave, his mama said. Her voice was soft but serious. But it was also dangerous, Deshawn. You've died. You could have. Her voice broke. She couldn't finish. I'm sorry, Mama. I couldn't let her die. I couldn't just stand there and do nothing. His mama wiped her eyes. I know, baby. I know. That's who you are. That's who I raised you to be. But you scare me so bad. She squeezed his hand. Half the neighborhood is outside wanting to see you. You're a hero now. I'm not a hero, Deshawn said quietly. I just did what anyone would do. But not everyone would, his mama said. That's what makes it special. She was right about the neighborhood. When Deshawn finally got up and looked out his window, he saw people everywhere. Mrs. Chun had brought flowers and left them on their porch. Mr. Jackson was telling the story to someone Deshawn didn't know, using his hands to show how Deshawn jumped over flames. Kids from school were standing on the sidewalk, pointing at his house. It felt strange. Deshawn didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired and sore and worried. By afternoon, his mama let him go outside. The moment he stepped onto the porch, people started clapping. Deshawn's face got hot. He didn't know what to do with his hands. There he is, Mr. Jackson boomed. The bravest young man on Maple Street. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Mrs. Chin asked, hugging him carefully like he might break. I'm okay, Deshawn said. Has anyone heard how Miss Geraldine is doing? She's stable, Mr. Jackson said. My cousin works at the hospital. He says she's got some smoke in her lungs like you, but she's tough. She's going to make it. Deshawn felt like a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. She was going to be okay. Really okay. But that night, lie in bed, the doubts came creeping back. What if he had been faster? What if he had noticed the fire sooner? What if the roof had collapsed while they were still inside? What if Miss Geraldine got sick later because of the smoke? What if? The question spun around in his head like a storm. He barely slept. The next morning, Deshawn asked his mama if they could visit Miss Geraldine at the hospital. I already called, she said. They said she can have visitors this afternoon. We'll go right after lunch. The hospital was big and white and smelled like cleaning supplies. Deshawn held his mama's hand as they walked down the long hallway. His heart was pounding. What would he say to her? What would she say to him? They found her room on the 3rd floor. Through the door's small window, Deshawn could see her lying in the bed, looking small under the white sheets. His mama knocked softly. Miss Geraldine? It's Sharon Collins and Deshawn. May we come in? Yes. Yes, please come in. Miss Geraldine's voice was weak but happy. They walked in. Miss Geraldine's face lit up like a Christmas tree when she saw Deshawn. My hero, she whispered. Tears rolled down her wrinkled cheeks. Come here, child. Deshawn walked to her bedside. He didn't know what to say, but Miss Geraldine reached out with her thin hand and took his. You saved my life, she said. You ran into fire for me. Do you know how rare that is? How special? I couldn't let you. Deshawn's own eyes filled with tears. I'm just glad you're okay. I'm more than okay. I'm alive. And I'm alive because a brave young man decided I was worth saving. She squeezed his hand. I will never forget what you did, Deshawn. Never. They talked for a while. Miss Geraldine told him the doctors said she could leave the hospital in a few days. She had family in another state who wanted her to come live with them, at least until she figured out what to do about her burn house. But before I go anywhere, Miss Geraldine said with a strange smile, I have something I need to do, something important. She wouldn't say what it was, no matter how much they asked. She just kept smiling that mysterious smile. On the way home, Deshawn felt better. Seeing Miss Geraldine alive and talking made everything real in a good way. He really had saved her. She really was going to be okay. But the next morning, something strange happened. Deshawn was eating breakfast, cereal with too much milk, the way he liked it, when his mama called from the front window. Deshawn, come look at this. He went to the window. Outside, parked right in front of their house, was a shiny black car. Not just any car, a fancy one, the kind with dark windows that Deshaun had only seen in movies. "Who's that?" he asked. "I don't know," his mama said. She sounded worried. "I don't like this. Why would someone like that be on our street?" They watched as both front doors opened. Two people got out, a man and a woman, both wearing suits that probably cost more money than their rent. They looked around the neighborhood, then walked straight toward Deshaun's house. "Oh, Lord," his mama whispered. "What now?" The knock on the door was firm and professional. Deshaun's mama straightened her shirt and opened the door slowly. "Yes? Can I help you?" The woman smiled. She had kind eyes behind her glasses. "Good morning. Are you Mrs. Sharon Collins?" "Yes." "And is this young man Deshaun Collins?" "Yes, what's this about?" His mama moved slightly in front of Deshaun, protective. "My name is Margaret Foster, and this is my colleague, James Chun. We're attorneys." The woman pulled out a business card and handed it to Deshaun's mama. "We represent Miss Geraldine Hawthorne." Deshaun's heart jumped. "Is she okay? Did something happen?" "She's fine," the man, Mr. Chun, said quickly. "In fact, she asked us to come here. She wanted to speak with you both. May we come in?" Deshaun's mama looked at the card, then at the lawyers, then back at the card. I suppose so." They all sat in the small living room. The lawyers looked too fancy for the worn couch and the coffee table with the wobbly leg. Deshaun sat next to his mama, his hands squeezed together. "First," Miss Foster said, "let me say that what you did, Deshaun, was extraordinarily brave. Miss Geraldine cannot stop talking about you." I did what I had to do," Deshaun said quietly. "That's exactly what heroes say." Mr. Chin smiled. "But Miss Geraldine wants you to know how grateful she is. More than grateful. She wants to do something for you." "She doesn't need to do anything," Deshaun's mama said quickly. "My son didn't save her life for a reward." "We know that," Miss Foster said. "And that's exactly why Miss Geraldine wants to help. She told us she's been watching you for years, Deshaun. She sees how you help your mother, how you help the other neighbors, how you work hard in school. She says you're the kind of young man who deserves a real chance in life." Deshaun didn't understand. "What do you mean?" The two lawyers looked at each other. Then Miss Foster pulled out a folder from her briefcase. "Miss Geraldine," she said slowly, "is a very wealthy woman." The room went silent. "She worked for 50 years as a nurse," Mr. Chin continued. "She saved her money. She invested wisely. She never had children of her own, so she lived simply and let her money grow. Most people in the neighborhood have no idea." Deshaun's mama's mouth fell open. We had no idea. "She wanted it that way," Miss Foster said. "But now she wants to use some of that money to thank Deshaun, to get him something that will change his future." She opened the folder and pulled out papers. Official-looking papers with lots of words Deshaun couldn't read from where he was sitting. "Miss Geraldine has established a trust fund in your name, Deshaun," Miss Foster said. "A what?" Deshaun asked. "It's money set aside just for you," Mr. Chin explained. "Money for college. Money for books and housing and food. Money to help you become whoever you want to be. Money to make sure that a young man brave enough to run into fire has every chance to build a bright future." Deshaun's mama made a sound, half gasp, half sob. Her hand flew to her mouth. How much?" she whispered. Miss Foster looked her straight in the eye. "Enough to cover 4 years at any college in the country, plus living expenses. We're talking about—" But she didn't get to finish the sentence. Deshaun's mama gasped so loud it echoed through the small house. $250,000. The words hung in the air like magic. Deshaun couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even blink. His brain tried to understand the number, but it was too big, too impossible. $250,000. His mama was crying now, tears streaming down her face. That's not possible. That's too much. We can't accept." "You can and you will," a new voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned. There, standing in the doorway with a nurse helping her, was Miss Geraldine herself. She was wearing a simple dress and had a cane in her hand, but her eyes were bright and strong. Miss Geraldine. Deshawn jumped up. What are you doing here? You should be resting. I'll rest when I'm dead, she said with a little laugh that turned into a cough. The nurse helped her to the chair. I needed to be here for this. I needed to see your face. She sat down slowly, catching her breath. Then she looked at Deshawn with such love it made his chest hurt. That boy ran into fire for me, she said to everyone in the room. Fire. Do you understand? He didn't think about himself. He didn't wonder if I had money or what I could give him. He just saw an old woman who needed help, and he helped. That kind of heart is rare. That kind of courage deserves to be rewarded. But Miss Geraldine, Deshawn said, his voice shaking, I don't need a reward. I'm just glad you're alive. I know you don't need it, she said. That's exactly why you deserve it. All your life, I've watched you, Deshawn. I've seen you walk your mama to work when it's dark outside. I've seen you share your lunch with kids who forgot theirs. I've seen you help Mr. Jackson carry his groceries even when you're tired. You have a good heart, and good heart should be protected and helped to grow. She turned to his mama. Sharon, your son saved my life. Everything I have, every breath I take from this day forward, I owe to him. This money is nothing compared to that. Please, let me do this. Let me give him a chance. Deshawn's mama was crying so hard she couldn't speak. She just nodded. Ms. Foster pulled out more papers. The trust is already set up. The money is already deposited. When Deshawn turns 18, he can use it for college. Any college he chooses. There's enough for tuition, books, housing, food, everything. And if there's money left over after college, he can use it to start his life. Maybe buy a house, start a business, whatever dreams he has. I don't know what to say, Deshawn whispered. His own eyes were wet now. Thank you doesn't seem big enough. Then don't say it with words, Miss Geraldine said. Say it by making something beautiful with your life. Go to college. Learn everything you can. Then come back and help this neighborhood. Help other kids like you. That's all I ask. Take this gift and pass it forward. Deshawn walked over to Miss Geraldine and knelt down beside her chair. She put her wrinkled hand on his head, gentle like a blessing. You gave me my life back, she said softly. Now I'm giving you your future. We're even. By that afternoon, everyone on Maple Street knew what happened. The news spread like wildfire, the good kind of fire, the kind that warms instead of burns. People kept knocking on the door. Mrs. Chun brought a whole cake. Mr. Jackson brought a guitar and played songs on the porch. Kids from school came by, their eyes wide with amazement. You're going to college, Tanya from his math class said. For real college. That's so cool. You're going to be somebody, Marcus from down the street said, shaking Deshawn's hand like he was already important. But the best part came that evening, when the whole neighborhood gathered on the street. Someone had set up speakers. Someone else had brought food. It turned into a block party right there on Maple Street, with Miss Geraldine sitting in a chair of honor, smiling at everyone. Mr. Jackson stood up and called for quiet. I want to say something, he shouted. Everyone stopped talking. We all know what happened 3 nights ago, he said. We all saw that fire. We all saw this young man run toward danger when everyone else ran away. Some people talk about heroes like they're people in movies with capes and powers. But a real hero is a 16-year-old kid who decides an old woman's life matters more than his own safety. People cheered and clapped. Deshawn felt his face getting hot. And we all know what happened today, Mr. Jackson continued. Miss Geraldine showed us something just as important as Deshawn's bravery. She showed us gratitude, real gratitude, the kind that changes lives, the kind that builds futures. He pointed at Deshawn. This young man is going to college, and when he comes back, and I know he'll come back, he's going to help make this neighborhood even better. That's what heroes do. They lift everyone up. More cheering, more clapping. Someone started chanting, Deshawn, 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 until everyone joined in. Deshawn looked at his mama, who was crying happy tears. He looked at Miss Geraldine, who was beaming like the sun. He looked at all his neighbors, the people who had helped raise him, fed him, taught him, loved him. And he understood something important. He hadn't saved Miss Geraldine alone. The neighborhood had taught him to be brave. His mama had taught him to care. His community had taught him that people matter more than things. And now Miss Geraldine was teaching him that kindness creates more kindness, that gratitude can change the world. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and the street was quiet again, Deshaun sat on his porch steps. The stars were out, bright and clear. He could still smell smoke when he breathed deeply, but it was getting better. His mama came and sat beside him. "How do you feel?" she asked. Deshaun thought about it. "Scared," he said honestly. "What if I'm not smart enough for college? What if I mess this up? What if—" "Stop," his mama said gently. "You're the boy who ran into fire. College isn't scarier than that." She was right. He had faced fire and smoke and fear, and he had won. He had saved a life. If he could do that, he could do anything. "Mama," he said quietly. "Yes, baby? I want to be a doctor, like Miss Geraldine was a nurse. I want to help people." His mama hugged him tight. "Then that's what you'll be, and you'll be the best doctor this neighborhood has ever seen." 3 months later, Miss Geraldine's house was torn down. The fire had damaged it too badly to save. But in its place, the neighborhood came together and built a small park. They planted trees and flowers. They put in benches and a playground. And in the center, they placed a sign that read, "Geraldine Hawthorne Memorial Garden, where courage met gratitude." Miss Geraldine moved to live with her niece in another state, but she called Deshaun every Sunday. She wanted to know about his grades, his plans, his dreams. Deshaun kept his promise. He studied hard. He worked hard. And when the time came, he applied to colleges. Good ones, the kind he never thought he could afford. When the acceptance letters started coming, he cried. His mama cried. The whole neighborhood celebrated. But Deshaun never forgot the most important lesson. One act of courage, met with one act of gratitude, can change everything. He had run into fire to save one life. And in return, his whole future had been reborn. What would you do? Think about Deshaun's story. He didn't save Miss Geraldine because he wanted something. He did it because it was right, because she mattered. Because when someone needs help, brave people don't think, they act. Here's the truth. You don't need to run into a burning building to be a hero. Heroes are made every single day by people who stand up for someone being bullied, help an elder carry heavy bags, share with someone who has less choose kindness when they could choose meanness, do the right thing, even when it's hard. Your turn. If you love this story, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Every share reminds someone that courage and kindness still matter in this world. Hit that share button and spread the message. Subscribe for more incredible true stories that will touch your heart and change how you see the world. Stories about real people doing extraordinary things. Stories that prove goodness still exists. Before you go, answer this. Thought balloon, what's one act of kindness you can do today? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's helping someone with homework. Maybe it's smiling at someone who looks sad. Maybe it's just listening when someone needs to talk. Thought balloon, if someone gave you a chance like Miss Geraldine gave Deshaun, how would you use it? What dreams would you chase? Drop your answers in the comments below. Let's build a community of people who believe in courage, kindness, and paying it forward. Remember Deshaun's story. Remember that one brave choice can change everything. And remember that when you help others, the universe has a way of helping you back. Your future is waiting. What will you do to earn it? Share this story. Subscribe for more. Comment your thoughts.